So the NBA offseason is now at a standstill. So I've decided to start a new series. This is the best playoff series from every year in the NBA playoffs, starting from this year and however far I want to go back. Each part will be a recap of the series from that year. And this is part 1, and we're starting with the year 2022, where this NBA playoff had a lot of long series, but a lot of the games were not entertaining. It's too many blowouts, which made the selection easy. It's the Grizzlies versus the Timberwolves in the first round. This is just a series that had everything. You had the close games, the beef, game winners, comebacks, hype crowds, and what's a good playoff series without Patrick Beverley? But now we set the stage. The Timberwolves were just coming off their NBA championship NBA play-in victory over the LA Clippers to lock in the 7th seed. Just their second playoff appearance in the last 18 years. And the young Grizzlies as the 2nd seed with most improved player Ja Morant. Not much other explaining I need to do. You guys know the state of the NBA. But let's get into it. We start with Game 1 in Memphis, Tennessee. Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns came out on fire with 12 and 13 points in the first quarter. And on the Memphis side, Ja Morant was the only one that was doing anything. The Timberwolves would hold this lead and win in a flashy fashion, scoring a lot of points, allowing a lot of points, and of course some highlights along the way. But this would not be a pattern as the series continued to go on. The Timberwolves won Game 1 130 to 117, proving that they belonged there. Game 2, the Grizzlies knew they had to respond, shifting their defensive game plan and shutting down the Timberwolves. Cat struggled in this game, only having 15, and in classic Grizzlies fashion, a great team win, with Ja being 1 rebound away from a triple-double and 7 Grizzlies players in double figures. Grizzlies win it 124 to 96. But that ends the blowouts and is where the series really started to pick up. The series was tied 1-1, and we head to Minneapolis, Minnesota for Game 3. The Timberwolves are feeding off this electric home crowd, pulling out a big lead, and with Desmond Bane being the only one hitting a few threes for Memphis. And the Timberwolves built up a 26-point lead midway through the second quarter. But the Grizzlies wouldn't stop fighting. With Desmond Bane doing a lot of the damage, the Grizzlies cut down the Timberwolves' lead to 7 entering halftime. But no one really cared. Timberwolves were still up. And in the third quarter, they built up that lead once again, forcing a lot of turnovers, getting a lot of transition buckets, which built them up to a 23-point lead, their second 20-point lead of the game. But with 4 minutes left in the third, the Grizzlies decided that they wanted to battle back again. And in classic Minnesota sports fashion, the T-Wolves would let them. The Grizzlies would make a few threes, and then Ja Morant hits this beautiful layup. And all of a sudden, with 11 minutes left in this game, the Grizzlies are only down 11. This is very doable. Jones would hit a 3 and Bane would do the same, and the game was tied. And down 2, Tyus Jones hits a step-back 3 to give the Grizzlies the lead, their first of the night. And the Grizzlies would never look back. And with 1:20 left, this would happen.
$1:22 for regulation. Brooks, a step-back 3 over Towns. It's in!
Dillon Brooks puts the dagger into the cold heart of Minnesota. In a gutsy win for the Grizzlies, they'd take a 2-1 lead, off the backs of a triple-double from Ja Morant, huge threes from Bane, and a lot of key tip-ins from Brandon Clark. After this game, many thought the Timberwolves wouldn't be able to bounce back, having the 2-1 lead right there, right in front of you, and you couldn't get it. But that would lead us to Game 4 in Minnesota. This game was a dogfight. Minnesota only built up a slightly big lead, which was quickly erased by Memphis. Other than that, it was close all the way through. Minnesota was absolutely raining threes in this game, and so was Desmond Bane, with Bane finishing 8 for 12 from the three-point line. And his 34 points was carrying Memphis. But the story for Minnesota was Karl Anthony Towns with his double-double, and Jordan McLaughlin. 5 for 6 from the field and 4 for 4 from 3. He was one of the Wolves' others who really stepped up. The whole Wolves team was smoldering this night. But we know in this series the Grizzlies never back down. Patrick Beverley would be fouled with 40 seconds and the Wolves up 5. But he'd miss both free throws, and Ja Morant would then hit this crazy layup. Grizzlies get a stop and they go the other way. And then this is how it played out.
Morant, Memphis ball down 3. Morant gives it up. Jones to tie. No! Rebound Edwards. Minnesota ball.
Tyus Jones missing and the Wolves tie up the series at 2 games apiece. Gutsy win for the Wolves, which was much needed to avoid the 3-1 deficit. As the series shifts back to Memphis for Game 5, our all-time classic of the series. We all know the stakes. Most Game 5 winners when the series is tied 2-2 win the series. And this game was another dogfight. But despite that, Minnesota held a pretty steady lead, with young superstar Anthony Edwards leading the way for the Wolves in the first half. But in the second half, Karl Anthony Towns would pour in 21 points as the Wolves built up their lead. But the Grizzlies would fight back once again as these teams were throwing haymakers at each other. But this may have been the biggest one of all.
Winner takes a 3-2 lead in this opening round series. Morant. Oh! A jawbreaker! And if there's anything that will get this crowd roaring at the Grizzlies' den, it is Ja Morant.
A jawbreaker. Ja Morant lit the fire that the Grizzlies needed to make the fourth quarter comeback. But Karl Anthony Towns would continue to put darts into the Memphis Grizzlies. And this never comes back to bite anybody ever, does it? Key buckets from Brandon Clark and Desmond Bane would bring the Grizzlies to within 3. And with 4 minutes left, the Ja heroics would begin. He would hit a few buckets, but the Wolves would respond. And Karl Anthony Towns would hit a huge 3 for Minnesota. And this has never backfired. Ja would then get fouled and hit a pair. Grizzlies get a stop, get the ball back, kick Jones, misses the 3, but tapped out by, of course, Brandon Clark, and then one of the loudest crowd reactions I've ever seen.
Off the rim, slapped out of there by Clark. Morant! Yes, sir! Memphis in front by 1.
Ja comes in clutch once again this game, hitting a huge 3-pointer. We fast forward to 14 seconds. D'Angelo Russell misses the jumper. The Wolves have to foul. Ja hits both, and the Wolves have possession with a chance to tie with a 3.
Get it in for Towns. Back from McLaughlin. The bounce to the outside. The jumper. Good! It's Edwards!
The young superstar Edwards comes in huge and ties the game, but never leave the door open for Ja Morant and this Memphis team.
Trigger man. Brooks, toss in. Morant drives. Morant. Oh, it's good! And that's it. A gutty Grizzly win.
Game time. Ja Morant hits the game winner. Grizzlies take a commanding 3-2 series lead and put yet another devastating loss into Minnesota. The entire second half of this game just felt like it was the last 5 minutes the whole time watching it. It was an outstanding game. But our all-time series can't be great without the cherry on top. With the Grizzlies up 3-2, the Wolves needed a win going back home. And with Mike Breen calling it, you know this was going to be a good game. These teams went back and forth, Desmond Bane hitting 3s, Anthony Edwards on the other end, and it was close all the way through the first half. The Timberwolves would build up a slight lead in the third quarter, but we already know how that went looking at the rest of the series. But the Timberwolves were still up for 90% of this game entering the fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, same story, back and forth we go. And with the Wolves down 4, this is how it played out.
And it's here in Game 6. Four on the shot clock. Morant, the drive. Morant. Jones just gets it off the time. It's good! Tyus Jones nails the 3.
Another dagger into the hearts of Minnesota. But they weren't done yet. McLaughlin would hit the layup, cutting it to 2. Triple J would put in the layup, and Patrick Beverley would miss the corner 3, putting the final dagger into the hearts of Minnesota. Another heartbreaking loss, and the final one the T-Wolves could take, as the Memphis Grizzlies move on with a 4-2 series win over the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that is my best series of 2022. Not like there was much competition, but not to take away from the series, this was an all-timer. A story of young superstars emerging, heartbreak, and winning against all odds. Both of these teams play a really fun brand of basketball. They're young, fast-paced, and they're hungry. And the classic Minnesota sports trope, blowing leads. But that'll do it for this video. Part 2 will be on 2021, and I'll see you on the next video. See you later.